Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to talk about the trends I've seen in the sales and prices of the 992 generation Porsche 911 GT3. If you're not familiar with this car, it's basically the perfect car. A track weapon is what people usually call it. It comes in two main variants. There's the winged car, and then there is the touring edition car. So we're going to look at some price trends on Bring a Trailer. I went ahead and went in a very deep rabbit hole today, and downloaded all the data essentially. Don't ask me how. That wasn't as easy as it looks. And then I also wrote a couple macros to do a few different things. I got the photos of the cars that got retrieved here. These links here actually link directly to the auction. And then I've got a few other columns here that I'll go over real quick. So there's the status of whether or not it's sold or just bid up to. But really, it doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. That's what the market was willing to bear on that specific car on that day. So whatever the number, the final bid was, I have not really taken much into account whether or not it actually sold. To me, it doesn't matter. Where it sold, that turns out it didn't really matter where the car was listed, which is actually kind of interesting. It mattered a little bit probably, but realistically, what mattered is really a couple other things that we'll go over. The color. Now, the color, sorry to say that this does matter. And we'll go over that. The type of transmission. So I have the A here for PDK. PDK is Porsche's automatic transmission, and then manual, which is their 6-speed manual. The PDK is a 7-speed automatic, and then the manual is a 6-speed on this car. And then the other thing is whether it's a winged car or a touring car. So I've indicated that here. How many miles it has. Now, on average, these cars had 951 miles. A high mileage car was 5,900, and the lowest mileage car, I think, was this 24 or something like that. 24. Oh, no, 18 miles on this car. So the original MSRP. Now, this is, I think, actually the kind of the one of the most important numbers, and it was actually the hardest number for me to get to. So I'll put that there. Yeah, I'll put that there. That got pretty busy when I did that. Let's just leave it out. And so the average MSRP for the cars is 202,000. They range anywhere from like 160 something to 220 something. That's really kind of the range. And you're not likely to find very many at the original kind of MSRP, which was 161, I believe. That's not. It's very rare that somebody specs their car that low. I think the lowest spec one was 168,000. And then the highest spec one, so I think there was some 224 or something like that is what I saw here. I didn't mark that. So 231, yeah, that's pretty high spec actually. And we'll look at that car. That's an interesting one. Final bid, again, we talked about that. This is the date of the auction. And here's the difference between the final bid amount and the original MSRP. So this is the number I'm really interested in, but I'm not as interested in this as I am in this divided by the MSRP. So that's how much over MSRP the final bid price was. And I've listed that percentage here. Now you'll notice that anything below 25%, I've highlighted in red, and anything above 44%. I don't know why I picked that number, but just anything above 44% is in yellow. And then there's a couple here that I've highlighted in bold, and those are the ones that sold at the highest percent over. And the highest priced one is actually 51%, was the highest priced one is 312,000, but the highest percentage over sold for 300,000. And this was just 53%. Actually, I'm sorry, 56% was 299. That was the highest percentage over. Let's look at what you're probably all wondering is there a downward trend in price given the difference in in the over MSRP price? Because there may be a downward trend, but it could be explained with that or something like that. So I just plotted this over time. And so that's this graph. And this is percent over MSRP over that past year. It's almost been a year. It's been 11 months since the first car was listed until today, which is today, by the way, is February 6th of 2023. So as you can see, there is definitely a downward trend. And I didn't draw that line. That's the trend line. It's a linear trend line that was drawn by Excel to indicate what the trend line for this graph is. And so and I did one other thing, which I'm not going to go through. You guys can download the spreadsheet yourself and take a look at it and tell me if I'm wrong. But when I looked at these numbers, if I were to extrapolate, we would be at MSRP sometime around September or October of this year, 2023. Now that's not exactly easy to quantify, okay? And then I'll have to. There's a lot of caveats there, right? And we'll get to it. But the other thing to keep in mind, this data is only from Bring a Trailer. There's tons of other data out there, okay, that I can't really get to easily, right? I can't get the source of truth on a lot of stuff, but on Bring a Trailer, I can get as close to the source of truth as I can anywhere else. And there's a lot of data. There's 35 data points, which is pretty good. And the other thing to consider, Bring a Trailer actually does get higher prices for vehicles than any other place. And these prices are actually higher than indicated because the buyer ends up paying an additional $5,000 on top of any of these prices. So if you were to really correct for it, all of these final bids are really $5,000 more than what they're shown here. I didn't do that because I feel like that's just the cost of doing business or whatever. I don't want to really muddy the water with it, and it doesn't matter because it wouldn't change the trend line, right? It would just change it would just shift it up a little bit. So it doesn't matter. And I think if we continue this trend, we will be at MSRP in September or October of this year. Certainly won't be any longer than December. So that's the trend. It's not a prediction. That's what I'm kind of seeing here. Now, what's really interesting, and this is when we're going to really dive in here, and like I said, I'll make this available. You guys can take a look at it. Let's first talk about the things that didn't make much of a difference. I already told you where the car was listed wasn't that big of a deal. A little bit, but not much. Okay. Now, if it's in California or Florida or New York, you're going to find more bids, I think. But people, when they're paying this kind of money for a car, they don't mind paying an extra couple grand to get it shipped. And then let's actually look at color next. Now, if you look at color, you'll notice that orange, this crazy pastel orange color, and yellow, and also this P I put for purple, but that's really kind of that ruby star color. Those got the lowest overall percentage over, and they're not low spec cars. In fact, in fact, I think this orange one is one of the highest spec cars there is, and that is the highest MSRP, $231,000 MSRP. So let's take a look at this car. It's not very easy on the eye. This is not a color you would normally expect to see on a Porsche. I would expect to see this on a McLaren or maybe a Lamborghini or something like that. But most Porsche files, and people paying this kind of money for a GT3, they're Porsche files. They would, they would probably not spec this color out of the factory. And just so you can believe me, that number, even though it's a little fuzzy, is $231,830. That is a very high MSRP GT3, very well optioned car, and it just didn't sell. It went up to 262 and it stopped right there. And this was in December 30th, so right at the end of the year. So that's that one. Oops, that's that one. And then the other one is this guy right here. And this is that Ruby Star color, which is a paint to sample color by Porsche. Now, you guys can tell me, I think it costs like 10 to 15 grand extra to get a color like this, which is a paint to sample. So you pay all that money and then people don't buy it. So if you're looking for value retention, folks, maybe look at, let's see, right here, gray seems to do really well. Black and blue did pretty well. There's only one red car and tons of white cars, so white did well. And let's take a look at that red car because I want to look at it together with you. There's some funny stuff with this car too. So this one also bid, and it bid up to 300,000 and it didn't sell. Part of the reason for that is this person did something absolutely insane to this car. Now, there may be some other stuff going on with this car I don't understand. This might be a very special car because I can't imagine why it bid up to 300,000 with this color combo, with those wheels and that color with this interior. This is probably one or two of you guys are gonna be able to love that combo, but most people are not gonna really love this combo. And it was a pretty high original MSRP, $218,000. This guy probably paid more than 300,000 out the door, and that may be why his bid reserve was much higher. Yeah, and I didn't check to see if in the comments that is a very long comment. I googled bad taste and saw a picture of those seats. So okay, so somebody agrees with me here. I just, yeah, that's why that car didn't sell. So anyway, I wanted to cover color first. And I think color is probably one of the bigger indicators here. There's quite a few great cars and they did really well. So look at that. Now we're going to really get to the thing that is going to probably surprise you. Wing versus not wing cars. So the touring versus the wing cars. Touring cars, 37% over MSRP. Wing cars only 32% over MSRP. I find that very interesting. And manual 37 and 32, same percentages. So 5% better for manual and another 5% better for touring. Now, you may say, wait a minute, that's only because all the touring cars are manual, and you would be wrong, okay? I've indicated them here. There's a lot of touring PDKs, and there's a lot of wing manuals, okay? So that's not the case. That is not the case. There's all these automatic touring cars right here, okay? There's quite a few manuals too, but in general, touring cars get higher numbers, manual cars get higher numbers. So if I were to say, what's the best Porsche you can buy for value retention, I'd buy a gray manual touring, and I wouldn't get any other options on it. I would just get a relatively low option car, probably get the PCCB because that would probably pay dividends, but that would get you some good returns. So that I thought was super interesting. I don't know if I saw anything else that was too interesting here, guys. The other thing I really want to point out, when you're looking at Bring a Trailer, a couple of things are pretty important. One is that the seller really matters. Okay, so let's take a look at this highest selling one. Okay, now you might wonder, why did this thing sell for so much? Okay, there's a couple of really good reasons. Okay, first of all, this color is a very rare build. This is the only one I saw of this color, I think, on all of Bring a Trailer. It's called Albert Blue. It is a 6-speed touring, so it already has the manual thing going for it, and it has the touring edition going for it. It's also a very unique color, and it's very well optioned. So the original MSRP on this car was 205, which is not too high, not too low, is right near that average, okay? But here's what you may have missed, okay, is does the seller matter, right? So let's take a look. If I click on this seller here, I'll notice he's got 3 cars live right now, and he's had 300 past listings, right? That is something, right? You take a look at all these past listings, and this guy sells cars. And I mean, just since this one sold, he sold a dozen cars, you know? So the fact that he's a high rated seller and does a lot of business on this platform probably adds quite a bit to what he ends up getting for a final MSRP, because people probably trust this guy well. And, you know, this is a very low mileage car in a good state. You know, Arizona, the reason I say that's good is because, you know, a lot of this, the western states like California and whatever, they might get some higher pricing here, and Arizona cars get sold in California all the time. So he kind of like nailed this build for high value retention. And you know, 51% over MSRP, that's no joke. And we look at this other car, which is this one is not as obvious. It is a touring 6-speed again, so that part's obvious, but it's a white color. Yeah, you know, and it actually had 1,900 miles, so that's actually double the average. It was in California, so that probably helped it. And then it had these kind of patterned wheel, seats. Let's see, did it have the PCCB? Hard to tell with the black, because you can, yeah, so it does have the PCCB is Porsche ceramic composite brakes, by the way, if you're not familiar with lingo. Great car, great build. Just, you know, I would have probably not picked that color, but let's take a look at this seller here. Past bids, let's see. Past listings, 41 past listings. So this is, again, another seller that's doing a lot of business on this platform, and people trust him. A lot of really cool cars, a lot of Porsches. That's important, right? So I guess what I'm saying is this is why cars go for sometimes higher on Bring a Trailer than they would in many other platforms, is because the seller carries a lot of weight. Anyway, I want to hear what you guys have to say about all this. Do you think this trend is going to continue? Do you think we're going to see MSRP GT3s by before the end of this year? Do you think that this? Do you think there's anything interesting about this, or is this what exactly you expected? Did you expect a 5% difference between touring and winged, and another 5% difference between manual and automatic? Did you think color mattered as much as it does? I want to hear your thoughts. I will make the spreadsheet available in the description below somehow. I haven't figured out how yet. It does have a couple macros, so don't worry, those aren't viruses and whatnot. I might actually put 2 versions out there, one with and one without macros, or maybe just put the non-macro one out there. You won't need it. Yeah, definitely want to hear from you, and click that subscribe button for more content. Hopefully I'll be filming some GT3 content sometime here around September timeline. Yeah, look forward to seeing you guys again. Until next time.